This meeting is being live streamed so that people who are not able to be here in person can still participate and hear the discussions. In the meeting that we had just prior to this, we were also live streaming that, and we did have people kind of submit questions and comments and participate, you know, from home or work in the process. And so I may be sharing feedback that I'm getting online with you all too as we're going through. So I'm Christy Lee. I'm the Executive Director of Communications for Bastrop ISD, and Leasor Crass is our consultant. She's also one of our attorneys here in the district with Leasor Crass, and she's going to be facilitating tonight's meeting. But because we are live streaming, she's going to be using a microphone, and then any feedback that you all give as she goes through some questions with you, you're going to speak into the microphone too, just so that it picks up what everybody is saying. So if you don't mind kind of being willing to share the microphone and pass it around, that would be really helpful.
I think I can pass this on. It's not a big crowd.
Well, but you'll need one,
yes,
probably
yes.
two. But I'm just going to leave it up here, and
great.
The seat for the microphone right there.
Perfect. I want to thank you all for coming. I know it was short notice, and you know, it's kind of a humid, cloudy day outside. It's typical Monday, which you'd probably rather get home. I do promise that I will honor your time. I promise not to keep you any longer than necessary, but it's very important that we gather this information from you. And so as we begin, I want to give you a little bit of an agenda for our evening so that you'll know what's going to happen. So the first thing I want to share with you is, who is Leasor Crass? Who is Leasor Crass? Well, Leasor Crass is a law firm. We're located in the Metroplex, and we represent Bastrop ISD. And we've been hired by the Board of Trustees to assist them in selecting and developing the search for their next superintendent. As many of you know, Mr. Steve Murray retired, I guess, December of this year. The board has named Barry Edwards as your interim superintendent. And while he's holding down the fort and fulfilling that role, we're going to help the board locate and search for their new superintendent. And finding a superintendent is kind of like finding a needle in a haystack. There's that one perfect person that's out there that we want to find so that you will have the very best superintendent possible at Bastrop ISD. So the question is, what is our role in this superintendent search? Because I know I get asked that question like, well, what are you going to do in the superintendent search? Are you going to be out there telling the board what to do and who to hire? The answer to that question is no. Our role is to assist the board in facilitating the superintendent search. We provide them with a great deal of data and a great deal of information so that they can make a very informed decision on who they want as the next superintendent. How do we assist them in that role? Well, the first thing we've done is we have put forth a survey. It's located on your school district website for the community members and anybody who is a stakeholder to take, because the board is very interested in the information that you are providing to them about what the next superintendent looks like. So that's very important. Do we tell them who to pick? Absolutely not. Our job is to help them find that right person and make sure their postings, applications, and everything they do is legally compliant with the superintendent search rules promulgated by the Texas Education Code. And so the question then is, what is the purpose of this meeting? Why have we called you here and asked for your input? Well, because it is very important to the Board of Trustees that you provide input to them into what the next superintendent's profile may look like and what kind of leader that you hope to see the board seek and search for as they begin to find that needle in the haystack at Bastrop ISD. So your input is very, very important to the board in what they seek and what you would like to see in the next superintendent. Now, I'm going to say this to you. Before we begin, I need to tell you what the board's role is in the superintendent search. If you look at the 4 essential functions of the Board of Trustees, they have 4 main jobs. The first one is to hire the superintendent. It is probably the most important function your board will exercise, because having that leader at the helm of your district is critical. So hiring the superintendent is very important. They set the policies and procedures, they set the tax rate, and every year they pass an annual budget so that the employees and the superintendent know how much money they have to spend. So those are the 4 essential functions of the board. Now, here's the thing. The board can't delegate the duty of hiring a superintendent to members of the community. There's a reason we don't ask community members to sit in on an interview or to sit in on a screening committee for who we interview. Because by law, under the Texas Public Information Act, the board cannot disclose to anyone outside that boardroom, that includes spouses and everyone else, the board cannot disclose who the applicants are for that position. You know, as a rule, whoever applies for a position here is public record at a school district. However, the one exception to that rule is for the position of superintendent. So the board, if you ask them, so who all's applied? They can't tell you. Or even if you go so far as to say, not who all has applied, but hey, did so-and-so apply? We can't give you that information. They can't tell you who you're going to interview. They can't tell you who they even considered as a part of that program and as a part of that process. So don't feel like they're excluding you if they tell you, I can't give you that information. What they can get from you, though, is important data and important input about what you want that person to look like. We're asking the board to find the needle in the haystack. We want you to tell the board what the needle looks like, so that they can go out and find the perfect person. It's important to the Board of Trustees to get input from community members, key stakeholders, parents, staff, students, and other community folks who are involved. So with that said, I promise to honor your time. I have a few questions I want to ask you, and in doing so, I'm going to need you, as Dr. Lee said, when I ask the question, it's important for you to respond. So if you'll respond into the microphone, it's very important, because this meeting is being live streamed throughout the community, and I'm probably driving them crazy because I'm moving around so much. But this meeting is being live streamed through the community, and it's important for them to be able to hear your responses as we ask these questions. So are you ready? Are you willing to help? Absolutely. Great. Thank you. And I want to thank you for taking your time on a Monday for coming. I know this is probably not the most convenient day of the week. Okay, so our first question is, what do you as an individual consider to be the strengths of Bastrop ISD? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of hand you the microphone, and if we could just kind of go around the room, and then I'll pick it back up there so everybody can respond. Next time, though, I'm going to start with her. So we'll move it around, so give everybody time to think, okay? How about that?
Thank you. Okay. Some of the strengths that I absolutely adore about Bastrop ISD is that there is a strong community and business, their relationships are strong within education, and I've seen that personally, and that's one of the big motivators for me.
Oh, great. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I would similarly say that, I think that the school district's involvement in the community has been very good. That I think Steve Murray was really good at getting out and going to events that were outside the school district but community oriented, and try to bring in community involvement. I think that is a very strong point.
Great, thank you.
We don't quit.
Oh, great response. Great response.
I would say the teachers are one of our biggest assets that we have. With my kids being in the school, I see that every day.
Great.
I'd rather not comment on this one.
I think one of the things that we see is there are lots of opportunities for our students to be involved. There are a lot of different types of organizations for our kids to find their niche, and I really think that's a great strength of our school district.
Wonderful.
I think one of the strengths of the district is tradition. Bastrop has a long-lasting tradition. If you went to the school, the district likes to bring you back, and we like to come back and pay the district back as teachers or administrators. So I think that's a big strength, is the tradition that BISD has towards its former students.
Great. No, we want to hear from her. You have an important opinion. We'd like to hear, what do you think a strength is? Can you tell us? No? Well, we'll catch you on the next one. How about that? All right.
I think the commitment that Bastrop ISD has with the employees and their students.
Great. Thank you.
I think probably for myself, the biggest strength is the development and continued growth with community partners, not just businesses, but also within the city and the community as a whole.
Oh, that's great. I'm going to get you to just hold that. Oh no, we have a response back here. Yay! If y'all will pass that down to him. And in fact, you hold it, and we'll start with you next time.
Okay. What did pop in my head was Circa. I think that's the biggest strength Bastrop ISD has as far as to its students and for parents having to pay for college. Go ahead.
Would you explain what Circa is for those who are live streaming or who may not be familiar with that?
So Circa is basically another high school college preparatory school. It helps students prepare for college by the time that they finish high school, they will have graduated with their associate's degree and a high school diploma, which gives them 2 years of college courses that I, as a parent, won't have to pay for. And if the student wants to proceed at going to college, if that's their goal, then that saves me 2 years of money.
Oh, so that's great.
Number one is make sure the superintendent does not screw that up.
Okay. Did you get that down? There you go. Okay, so I'm going to get you to hold the microphone because we're going to have a next question. Would you like to comment on what you think the strengths of Bastrop ISD are? You going to hold that thought? Okay. So our next question, everything, no matter how much good we have in a community, no matter how much good we have in a school district, nobody's perfect, and there are always issues that we must address. So I'm going to ask you, oh, I hit the wrong button again. Okay. What concerns do you have for Bastrop ISD? So if we're going out there to recruit a superintendent, as you know, most of the time while we're recruiting people to apply for the district, they're asking, so what's going on in the district? What's the good? What's the bad? It's important that they know what's going on. So if you were able to have an opportunity to visit with a potential candidate, what would you share as your concern for Bastrop ISD?
My biggest concern is support for the teachers.
Okay.
In ways of getting them certified, and not just being teachers, but also in all those other things that they have, like ELLs, bilingual, you just add on to the list. So how do you get those teachers all those certifications so that they're able to, so that as Bastrop, we're able to have the best teachers in the world.
Okay,
so
great. All right. What concerns do you have for Bastrop?
I think one of the things that we think about is the rapid growth There's a lot of changes. You know, there are a lot of changes that are coming to our community. We have lots of folks moving in all the time, and so we know that we are a rapid growth district. I mean, it's a steady growth, right? And so every year we have new students coming, and so we need to be able to have the facilities to meet the needs of those students.
Great. What concerns do you have for Bastrop?
I think teacher morale is a big concern. Teaching is not what it used to be. They put more and more and more responsibility on teachers, and we have to do all these other things, and we just want to teach. You know, all the paperwork, all the meetings, all the trainings, all the conferences we need to go to, and we're taken out of the classroom, and we, you know, the kids miss us, and we lose that opportunity to teach, and a lot of the teachers don't like that, even though they're trying to better us, but it's really hard to be a teacher these days.
Okay, thank you.
I think one of the concerns for me is our Spanish community, having somebody able to connect with them, to reach out to them and get them more involved, because it's a rapid growth, especially on the Cedar Creek site.
Okay.
So I think that's a concern I see.
Probably my biggest concern is kind of coinciding with some of the others is, you know, the ability to flex and move with, you know, the ongoing growth the communities not only has currently, but will see in the next 2 years even, and being prepared for that influx of students and having the ability to attract the staff to fulfill those opportunities.
Great, thank you. I'm going to pass it to you, and then we'll go down and come back up.
One of my concerns is the behavior in the district and how we can help students that have challenging behaviors, and how we can help teachers deal with misbehaving students. The other one is, excuse me, is teacher retention, teacher pay. I believe that Bastrop is getting their bang for their buck, because we don't get paid very much, but yet we give a lot. So,
Okay.
those are my two concerns.
Teacher retention, quality pay, and discipline within the schools. Those
Yes.
are good concerns.
One last thing,
Yes.
superintendent pay. I think it should not be as much as it was at this last superintendent. So
Okay.
I think it should be equitable around the district.
Okay.
I would say pretty much the same thing she said. Was teacher support is the biggest thing for me, you know, dealing with some issues with my daughter, and some things that why I've had to go to the school was mainly due to not my daughter's behavior, but others' behavior, and the way they're acting, and it reflects onto the teacher and them being able to teach and things like that. So I would pretty much say the same thing.
Okay.
I would say, too, that we wanted to make sure that we have a quality education, that our students are getting the best education. So they're when they graduate, or even when they go into high school, they're prepared. And they have prepared for a lot of options, not just one option of going to college or going to vocational school. And I think having a really quality superintendent with the leadership, quality is going to attract more people to Bastrop that want to live here, that
Absolutely.
can afford and have also education as their top priority. And I'd like to see that the students and the parents all have similar educational goals. And
That's great. That's a great comment. So that what you're saying is you want to see that we have very diverse programs, so that every student who leaves Bastrop ISD has had an opportunity to fulfill their dreams and their goals, and
they
not
have
just
options.
and there are more than just one or two options. Get
Right.
you next.
And then I think, you know, the whole thing is that a good school district is economic development for the whole community. If the school fails, the
community
community's gonna
fails.
My concerns would be I think first and foremost, being able to grow the infrastructure of the schools to accommodate the growth that we have here. I mean, we've had some bond issues that have failed. I think we need somebody who knows how to sell a bond issue. You can't just throw it out there and expect people to vote it in if you don't really justify it. So I would be looking for somebody that had experience in a high growth area where the funds are limited and you've got to leverage every asset that you have, get the most use out of every facility, out of every teacher, out of every asset that the school district has, and be able to really justify why you need to spend more to accommodate the kids. And along with Martha's comments, I think more vocational opportunities here, so that when kids come out of school, that they have the talents, the training to go out in the marketplace and get a job. Kids are going through school and they get out, and even through college now, depending on what they major in, some of those majors just don't have practical uses. And so I think good guidance, good counseling would be important, and but having somebody that knows how to really broaden the scope of the schools, but do it in a very cost-effective way.
Great. Here you go.
Thank you. I want to also affirm that for the teacher morale, I think in order to strengthen the district, it has the ability to pull quality teachers, but the turnover is rather high. One of the things that I would like to see is some type of internal leadership growth program for the teachers themselves. I would like to also speak on the behavior models. Those, what we have could be improved. I think it needs to be stressed that behavior should never impact, other students in the classroom, and I think that that's something that we're seeing across the board, and that's also somewhere that a place that needs to be improved. I'm sorry, I'm nervous. Maybe. They always say that the quality of a business or a program is how you treat everyone from the top to the bottom. And I know through experience that the custodians that was sold off to another company. And I had heard that they were not treated well. And that's something to take into consideration, because if it's a growth, it should be across the whole board.
Okay.
I don't know if that makes sense.
Well, thank you. Thank you both. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate your comments. Okay, so our next question is, what do you think will be the most important issue for the new superintendent to address when they land at Bastrop ISD?
Oh, I wish I was.
Wait, let's see.
Wow, that's a really broad question. I would have to say, I think at this point, probably teacher morale and the cohesiveness on the internal aspects of BISD, and making sure that everybody's on the same page, moving in the same direction, accomplishing the same goals as a team, and having those opportunities available for all staff. If you don't have it at the beginning, the core, then you can't provide it to the external. And so for me, I think that that's probably the most important piece, is to take care of your home before you try to take care of the surroundings.
Okay, great, thank you.
I think I will have to agree with what she's putting out there. That's probably one of the most important things right now.
Okay, thank you.
I think growth is going to be a really big issue because, Austin is getting, bigger, and there's only one other way to come, and it's this way. And I think this district is gonna explode in the next 5-10 years. So I think that's going to be a really, really big issue.
Great. So growth.
I think one of the things will be making sure that every classroom has a certified or a qualified teacher, and that we keep those teachers throughout the year. I think it's very disheartening for kids to start the school year off with a substitute teacher, a long-term sub, and for some of our students, especially I think at the high school levels, you think about courses that they need to be able to pass for an end-of-course exam, algebra, English 1, English 2, that it's crucial that, you know, when we move into the new school year, that our superintendent understands the need to have qualified people in all of our classrooms, right? That, you know, I understand like late hires and all of that, but in my mind, I think, you know, as a parent, it's not acceptable that my kiddo would have to have a teacher, long-term sub, and then another long-term sub over a critical need area.
So you're saying you think we need to adequately staff with quality teachers and then focus on teacher retention?
Yes, because that's what we talk about is teacher retention.
So what do you think will be the most important issue for the new superintendent to address?
I think I'll just pick up kind of what they've been saying. I think it always starts with the teachers. And I'm from the outside just looking in. I do have 2 kids, you know, going to school here in Bastrop ISD, but again, it always starts with the teachers. I'm just going to throw this out there, but I think they need to make more money.
Okay.
Find out a way to pay them more money. But also in addition to that, make sure they're qualified.
So better compensation and more qualified staff.
Yeah, and
Perfect.
I think, you know, those go hand in hand.
Absolutely.
And that's what I was going to say. I think we I don't know what the pay scale is. We used to have, several years ago, we were in one of the top areas for Central Texas, and I don't know if we've dropped behind a lot in pay.
Okay.
And I think that's one of the things that, to keep the teachers and retention. But also I think probably a big question that's going to happen is the realignment of the classes, or how do you say that?
How do we manage the growth?
Yeah, how do we manage the growth, and what kind of schools are we going to have, and how we cluster them together, and what's the best educational track for kids to be K through 5, whatever.
Okay.
And I think that's going to have to be addressed.
So school organization is a big thing that you see the new superintendent's going to have to address.
But we need to really increase our teacher's salary, and then I guess the morale is an issue y'all talk about.
I'm pretty much going to say the same thing they said, the teacher morale, but also too, I think the principal support in my dealings with my daughter's principal and a couple of issues. He's been very responsive and great, but I think I felt like he didn't have the support that maybe he could have had. And so I think that's something to look at too.
So a lot of campus support for administration and teachers. Thank you.
They pretty much pointed out everything I would have said. And the one thing I do want to point out is that although teachers don't make a whole lot of money, we're in it for the kids. And ultimately, that is what we're in it for. It's not really about the money, but it is about the money, because we need to have the same scale as any other working professional out there, and I don't feel like we have that. I also feel like we are working 12, 13, 14 hours a day, and when you round that to, it's barely minimum wage after a while.
Okay, thank you.
I'll just reiterate that the growth issue is, I think, going to be the key thing. The growth of the population, the school population, every year keeps going up, and we don't add new facilities, and everything's just getting tighter and tighter, and it's going to be a real challenge for the new superintendent. So
managing the growth is going to be a critical piece. Okay, thank you.
I want to go ahead and reiterate what everyone has said. The important issue, I think, is ensuring, building, and establishing those relationships with the community, with the teachers, supporting the administrators, and just building those strong relationships. how we know we should.
Great. I'm going to let you hold that because we're going to get you to start off our next question. Our question number 4. You know, as we look at the superintendent that the board's going to hire, they have two distinct pieces. One is just their personal qualities, their personal traits. I look at things like integrity, honesty, those type things. And then there's the second piece, which is the qualification and skill set, the educational background and skill set to hold that position. So let's look first at what are the most important personal qualities or characteristics that you feel are needed for the next superintendent of Bastrop ISD. Personal characteristics, the things that they exude personally.
I guess I would like to work with somebody that's approachable.
Okay.
You know, that's kind. I know that sounds cheesy, but I guess it goes.
No, it's
hand
very
in
true.
hand
Approachable and kind.
And you know, in our community for Bastrop ISD, it would be really nice if they were bilingual.
Okay, great.
Our community.
Yeah, I think the superintendent needs to have excellent leadership qualities, how to lead people, for people to feel good about going the direction that the superintendent. So I think the superintendent really needs to be a salesman, a saleswoman, salesperson, someone who can sell their concepts in a way and present it in a way that they get buy-in very easily. And I mean, there are people that can try to force it down your throat, and there are people that you just feel great doing what, you know, getting on the ship and going wherever the ship is going. And we need somebody that can lead the ship, and everybody feels like a team member.
So someone who's a good consensus builder.
Consensus builder, that would be good.
Piggybacking on her approachable, I know we're getting to be a large district. We are pretty large, but I like to know people personally, and I think that if he's a people person or she's a people person, to get out there and know people, get to know the teachers and the custodians and the maintenance people. I want somebody that's personable and genuine and concerned about the kids and the teachers and the staff.
Thank you.
I would say someone who's down to earth. In this type of role, sometimes you can be too managerial or too, you know, too highfalutin. I don't really know what you want to call it, but it's just be personable and just show people that you care for them, no matter what.
And I think they're going to have to take that personable talk that y'all talked about to the community. So there's going to needs to be some relationship building and some interaction with the leaders in the community and building back a partnership as well. And then I'd like to see somebody that brings in some new ideas and is as a leader and innovative, but yet meets the needs of our community and not somebody else's community.
Great. So a communicator who's an innovative leader. Okay?
Again, I'm from the outside looking in. I want to see a very high moral character.
Okay.
And who is very honest. I mean, if we have a school that's failing, I want him to say, hey, there's a school that's failing and this is what's going on. I don't like, you know, just beating around the bush or
okay. Someone who's open and honest and transparent.
Yes, but with strong moral turpitude.
Okay. Someone who's a good example of a strong moral character.
Yes.
Okay.
I really would like to see one that's really passionate.
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
I'd agree that they need to be an excellent communicator and to be able to communicate with all the needs of all the students that we have. And I thought that was an excellent idea, that it would be great if that person were bilingual, especially in our neck of the woods out at Cedar Creek.
Great. All right.
I would have to say that, yes, we would need somebody bilingual.
Okay.
And approachable.
approachable, and bilingual.
So I'm the last person this time, but in listening to everyone's response, I would have to say that probably the strongest quality is inclusiveness, and that's at every level. Within the community and being bilingual, within the school districts, from the teacher staff area, as well as from the student area, and not focusing in one area, like being involved in and inclusive to all of the students.
Thank you.
Pretty much sums it up.
Great. Well, I'm going to let you hold that microphone, because as we talk about the personal characteristics we're looking for, let's talk about the skills or the education, the skill set that you think. What is a skill set or an educational needed for the next superintendent of Bastrop ISD?
I almost think those go hand in hand, but I think probably the biggest skill set is the communication.
Okay, great.
Having that open communication.
Okay.
I think the leadership, being a good leader,
Okay.
being able to direct.
Okay, direct, good leader. All right.
Oh, well, I tend to agree with that. Some of these are overlapping, that they need to have definitely important skills. Good communicator, approachable, able to deal with day in and day out activities of a superintendent.
Somebody who has relevant knowledge of the job.
Right.
Okay.
Perfect.
We were talking back here. One of the things that we've talked about a lot in our home is someone with experience. And I'd mentioned that earlier before, that our school district is not the place where we grow a superintendent. We're in a position right now where we need someone to come in that can help us grow our facilities, that can help us retain our teachers, that can help close achievement gaps with students. And so this is not a place where, we can grow you into that position. I really would like to see someone that's got proven experience, leadership, and a turnaround district, or something that, they're bringing something to the table that would be of great use and value to us. Now you think of something?
I'm just going to stress the education part. I think we've already gone over all the personal. I think the person that comes in must have a doctorate degree. This is education, and this is a top person in the district, and I think it is a must-have to have a doctorate degree for this position.
Okay.
Also, I think it shouldn't be a stepping stone for another position to come here and then to go on to leverage just to get to another district, or a better district, or bigger district.
Okay.
And then, for that not to be the intention, that they're just passing through. And then I think it's important for them to really develop a strong management team that they work well with, and put the right people in the right positions.
Okay.
That will execute all the goals and
Great. Thank you.
I'm just going to echo everybody else.
Okay.
I think that the person that comes in should also have been somebody that's come in through the ranks, like has been a teacher, has done some other things that have experienced in the district, that they've been in the trenches, they've done all the things that we're doing, they understand. So I don't want them to be separated from how we feel and how we look at things and how they look at things.
So someone who has a well-rounded experiential background.
Yes, and I think a PhD is important. But I also think that the experience that they've had throughout all this time can also help.
Okay.
It could be equivalent to that.
All right.
As well.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I'd just go along with the proven track record to find somebody who's been there, done that. We don't want to train them here. They should come in with ideas that they've applied before, that have worked before, that we can check and do a little research and find that they have been successful before.
Okay.
I think the person should definitely be passionate, have some sort of vision, sort of like an architect of direction. As we were talking about the future growth of Bastrop, they should have some sort of plan. And be prepared for that. I don't necessarily believe that a PhD is necessary. I'm more of a proven track record or experience, or also, if somebody comes in and just, has that passion. Everybody needs to get their start somewhere. I, had my first start somewhere, and we, should be open-minded to that as well, because somebody could come in and just knock your socks off and be the greatest thing. I'm not sure.
Okay. I'm going to get you to hold that because I have one more question. This is our last question. Or you want to start it? No. Okay. All right. Okay. So I want each of you to tell me what you believe the priority should be for the superintendent of Bastrop when they come in the first 100 days, when they hit the ground running, boots on the ground, when they show up. What do they need to focus on the first 100 days?
Meeting everyone.
Okay.
Introducing themselves and establishing those relationships with the community, the teachers, the kids.
Perfect. Establishing relationships.
Just learning all the systems, going through and really understanding who we are, what we are. I think super important is to get out in the community and understand this community. We are a unique community here, to get out there and meet people, find out who we are, and how the systems have worked in the past, and then they can leverage off of that.
Okay.
See what needs to be done for each campus, what their needs are, what resources that they need, how that superintendent can help each campus as a whole.
So somebody who'll come in and assess the situation first.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. Assess the situation and figure out what's going on, and then put a plan in place.
Okay.
Yeah, and just be listening to a lot of different groups and meeting with a lot of.
Okay, so somebody who'll come in and listen before they just begin acting.
Right.
Perfect.
But have some leadership ability.
Okay.
That being said, I believe in the assessing, and then also getting out in the community. We don't have to remind them that we've had several bonds that didn't pass, and so I think there needs to be some community involvement.
Some visibility in the community.
Yes.
Okay.
I will just, reiterate, excuse me. My point from earlier, I attended the meeting. I'm both a parent in this community, but I'm also an employee of the district. When I think about the timing of when the superintendent will come in, we are getting ready near to launch school. And I go back to the point that every classroom needs to have a teacher ready to go to meet kids on August the 15th.
Okay, great.
I tend to agree. I think the first thing they need to do is go into the classrooms and talk to the teachers.
So somebody who will listen to the staff, the teachers, the boots on the ground people.
I just agree with everything that's been said. The assessing, somebody that will come in and assess what the issues that we have at hand right now, and making those community, going out and getting involved with our community.
Okay.
I would have to concur. Basically, evaluating the school district from the ground up instead of coming in from the top level and pushing down. I think that that's extremely important.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. With that said, I want to share a couple of things with you. The way this will work is, of course, we can't share with you who they're interviewing or who's applied, but you will have some input into that position, because once the board decides the individual that they're going to hire, they have to post that individual's name for 21 days prior to hiring that individual. So during that 21 days, while they're negotiating the contract, that will be, once they name the lone finalist, that is the community's vetting period, and they cannot hire the superintendent until that name has been legally out there for 21 days. And it's out there by the board naming that individual, the lone the lone finalist. I will say also that the board is interested in if you know someone that you believe to be a good candidate for this position. Obviously, the board can't go out and say, hey, would you come be our superintendent? They can't recruit that way. What we can do, though, is if you know someone who is a quality candidate, we would ask you to supply to me the name of that individual and their contact information, where they're located, and we will then let them know that they have been nominated to apply for the position of superintendent. You know, in finding that needle in a haystack, we are interested in your opinion. If there's someone out there that you are aware of, let's say you have a cousin in another district and that superintendent does great things. If there's someone out there, if there's someone inside, if there's someone that you believe is the right fit or you would like the board to consider, we encourage you to nominate that person to apply for the position of superintendent in Bastrop ISD. Now, how many of you are aware that there is a survey online that you can fill out? Okay, keep your hands up. How many of you have taken the survey? Okay, for those of you, thank you. So your homework is, and that survey will run until 10 a.m. on March 19th. So your job is to go out and to take the survey, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's 11 of you in here. There's 11 of you in here, and if each of you goes out and recruits 10 individuals to take that survey, and you don't have to recruit people at school, we're going to send out that memo, but we want you to talk to your neighbors and the folks at your church and the people you see at the grocery store or somebody that you run into in the community. We want you to encourage at least 10 people to take that survey, because the more people that take that survey, the more input the board is going to have on what that next leader looks like. I will tell you, you can reassure those individuals that the surveys are not IP, how do I say that?
They're not IP address.
They're not IP address tracked, meaning we don't care who takes it, we just want your input. So we're not tracking who took it or what computer you took it from. We just want to know that you took the survey. So number one, thank you for taking it. I want you all to go home and take it, and I want you all to get 10 more people, and that's community, staff, students, parents, kiddos, anybody that can do that. We would encourage you. Now you came to our meeting earlier, so you got to get another 10 people. Okay, so we now you got to get 20 to take it. So and it is both in English and Spanish, so it's a bilingual survey. So encourage everyone to please take that survey. Again, I want to tell you,
where is that survey?
It is located.
So it's on the district website. Is the main location. So you can that very first thing that comes up, that picture, you can click there. Down in a little further down the page in the district newsroom is where you can also click there. We've been putting it out on last week on social media, and another reminder out today on social media.
And if you have any trouble finding it or locating it, Dr. Lee will be more than happy to assist you when you're in front of your computer. So there you go. Yes?
So, Christine, would you mind sending it out to get Bastrop? And I'm sorry I got it.
That's okay. You can stay for the next meeting.
I think that's
Okay.
I have.
Great. Yes, ma'am.
Is that website or advertised?
It's already been in the newspaper. It's been on our social media.
It'll come out this Thursday in the actual printed paper.
Oh, okay.
They were going to share it on their social media between now and then. I also sent it out to the Chamber of Commerce and to all of my key networks. So that's some people at the city, some people at the county, the BEDC. So those people know about it as well. And then on our social media and on our district website. We've also sent it out to our staff directly to get them involved. And then probably we'll send it out.
I will will say this, though.
We can send it out by email through the Blackboard system, yeah, to our parents.
And if you're a classroom teacher and you've got your parents' emails, it's okay for you to say, the district's conducting a survey on the profile of the next superintendent. I would encourage your participation as a key stakeholder. So if you're a classroom teacher, we encourage you to encourage not only your parents, but if you teach kids who are old enough for them to take the survey as well. I want to say this on behalf of the Board of Trustees. We thank you for your participation. Your voice counts, your opinion matters, and what you said tonight will be delivered to the Board of Trustees. They count on you and are interested in what you're saying as they develop this profile for the next superintendent. So I know it's a humid, muggy Monday afternoon, but we thank you for taking the time to come. Although we can't pay you, Dr. Lee has provided some excellent cookies over here, and we've generously got a bottle of water for you to drink on the way home, since you're probably late into cooking dinner. But I want to honor your time, and so with that, you are dismissed, and I thank you so much for your participation.
Thank you.